So last weekend I was watching the Liverpool-Tottenham game, and I believe it was Daniel Sturridge is going in on goal, has what's a reasonably good attempt, at that level, and kicks it towards the goalie saves it. And the analyst, as they always do, says, oh, from that position you have to score that one. As if there was no goalie in the way and no defenders approaching him, and he was just, shooting at a goal that nobody was guarding. And then I go out and I referee youth soccer games, and I hear the same thing from parents throughout the game. Oh, you have to make that pass, you have to do this, you have to do this. Basically criticizing players, teenagers essentially, for lack of execution of a skill. My favorite comment is always when a coach yells at a player, you have to shoot that at the goal. When they take a shot and they miss, let's say over the crossbar, or maybe they miss wide or something. And the coaches yell this at players, or parents yell this at players, as if the player isn't sure of the goal of soccer. Maybe I just have to kick it over the line. It doesn't matter whether it goes in the goal or to the side of the goal. So I think the players are pretty aware that the purpose is to try to kick the ball on the goal. They just didn't execute in that situation. And it happens. And the same thing happens in basketball all the time. We assume that just because somebody's shooting close to the basket that they should make the shot. So I see this all the time with post players. A guard misses a wide open 15-footer. Nobody really says anything. A post player, battles through contact and misses a layup, and it's like, oh my God, how does this player miss that shot? It's such an easy shot, even though a wide open 15-footer is probably an easier shot to take than a closely defended, post move type shot over a defensive player. So before the game, when I'm watching these soccer teams warm up, the shots that they're taking and the passes that they're making and so forth that they're eventually criticized for not executing in games are nothing like the ones that they execute in games. So you have players dribbling at the goal with no goalie or no defensive player, no time pressure. They're just kicking the ball, and of course they do better because there's no pressure from defense or time or anything like that. And the same thing then happens in basketball. We talk about this post player missing a layup. And so in the pregame warm-ups, we're doing, two-line layup drills with no defense and going at three-quarter speed, and thinking that because we can make those at a very high rate, that this post player should be able to, catch the ball with a defensive player, pushing, pulling, fouling, make an offensive move, and then shoot over the defender, and it's somehow the same shot as that three-quarter speed layup that we do in pregame warm-ups. And so I think one of the things that we have to do is we have to look at what are the constraints to the task, and how similar really are these. Just because a shot looks similar because of how it's eventually executed, if you ignore the defense and the time and the pressure and so forth, it's not the same shot. The time, the defense, the speed, all of these things affect the shot. Even if the layup ends up looking similar, in terms of its actual physical execution, all of these things contribute to making it a much more difficult, much more complex shot than what we practice typically. And so, if we're going to get on players and criticize them during games, we should improve the practice, prepare the players for these more game-like situations where they're having to execute passes under pressure, or they're having to execute layups at speed under pressure with defense, with contact, and so forth. Because despite what analysts say on TV when these shots are missed, whether it's soccer or basketball, they're not easy shots. They might be relatively easy in comparison to other potential shots that you might take. So Sturridge's shot in front of goal might be comparatively easy, compared to if a defensive player had been a little bit closer, if he had been at a worse angle, or more people between him and the goal, something like that. but it's still not an easy shot to be running full speed with somebody, grabbing at you from behind and having to put it at an angle past a goalie. If it was easy, everybody would be able to do it, and nobody would watch sports because we would score all the time and we'd lose interest because there was no competition really. It'd just be something easy to do. So I think we have to realize that while for professionals it is relatively easy and we have higher expectations, we can't take those same expectations when working or when watching younger players. And to prepare these younger players for these situations that they're going to face in games, we have to incorporate all the constraints and all the elements of the task into practice. Otherwise, we're not preparing players properly for these situations.